Chapter. A night in Diagon Alley. Diagon Alley, cloaked in twilight, was a far cry from the bustling, vibrant marketplace Harry had seen by day. The sun had set, and the narrow, cobbled streets glistened with evening dew, reflecting the glow of lanterns lit by magical flames. Harry, still reeling from the discovery that he was a wizard, clutched the list of Hogwarts supplies in his pocket, as if afraid it might all vanish like a dream. "Hagrid, why can't we get everything tonight?" Harry asked, peering at a shop window where a golden feathered owl dozed in its cage. "Oh, Harry, Diagon Alley at night's no place for wanderin', especially for a newcomer like you," Hagrid rumbled, adjusting his shaggy beard. "Things happen here when the sun goes down, you know. Best we get to the leaky cauldron quick." But Harry couldn't tear his eyes away from the alley. The shop windows, sparkling with color and magic by day, now looked mysterious, almost eerie. In one, he glimpsed a mannequin in a robe that seemed to turn its head slightly, watching him. Or was it just a trick of the light? Harry blinked and hurried to keep up with Hagrid. The leaky cauldron greeted them with a creaking door and the warm glow of a fireplace. Tom, the innkeeper, nodded to Hagrid with a grin and showed Harry to a narrow staircase leading to a small room on the second floor. The room was simple. A sagging bed, a wooden table with a single candle, and a window overlooking Diagon Alley. Harry dropped his rucksack on the floor and peered out. The street below seemed alive. Shadows moved in the alleyways, and strange sounds echoed faintly, like laughter or the clink of glass. "Hagrid, you sure it's safe here?" Harry asked as the giant settled onto a chair that groaned under his weight. "Safe as Hogwarts," Hagrid grunted. "Just don't go wandering at night. Diagon Alley's got a mind of its own, you know. Get some sleep. Big day tomorrow." Hagrid lumbered off to his own room, leaving Harry alone. But sleep wouldn't come. Harry lay staring at the ceiling, where a spider the size of a saucer spun its web. His mind swirled with thoughts of the wizarding world. Robes, wands, owls, Gringotts, and that odd phrase he'd overheard at Ollivander's: "The Philosopher's Stone is still in play, they say." What did it mean? The words felt heavy, almost ominous. A sudden noise, a sharp crack like a breaking twig, jerked Harry to the window. Below, a figure in a long cloak darted between two shops, vanishing into a narrow alley Harry hadn't noticed earlier. Curiosity, the kind that always got him into trouble with the Dursleys, flared up. He knew Hagrid would be furious, but the urge to explore this strange new world was stronger than fear. Harry slipped on his worn trainers, grabbed the cloak Hagrid had bought him, and crept downstairs, careful not to creak the floorboards. The leaky cauldron was quiet, save for Tom snoring behind the bar and an old witch in a feathered hat muttering over a steaming mug. Harry slipped out the back door, tapped the right bricks as he'd seen Hagrid do, and watched the wall shutter open. Nighttime Diagon Alley was nothing like its daytime self. The lanterns burned dimmer, their light casting long, twisting shadows. The air carried scents of herbs, metal, and something sweet, almost cloying. Harry moved forward, sticking close to the walls. His heart pounded, but he couldn't stop. He wanted to see what this world hid when no one was watching. A few steps in, he spotted a sign he hadn't seen before: "Shop of Old Wonders." The window was cluttered with oddities: a faintly glowing crystal ball, gloves that twitched their fingers, and a book that flipped its own pages. The door was slightly ajar, and voices drifted out. Harry, holding his breath, edged closer. "The stone's still at Hogwarts, I'm sure of it," a low voice said. "But someone's already sniffing around Gringotts." "Hush, Mund," a sharp female voice hissed. "These walls hear better than you think." Harry froze. The Philosopher's Stone again. He remembered Hagrid's mention of the package they'd retrieved from Gringotts. Could that be it? He stepped closer, but a twig snapped underfoot, and the voices fell silent. The shop door creaked, and Harry dove behind a corner, pressing himself against the cold stone wall. A woman in a dark green robe emerged, her silver hair braided tightly. Her narrow, piercing eyes scanned the alley, as if sensing someone nearby. Behind her was a short, stocky man with a scarred face. Harry held his breath, praying they wouldn't see him. Thankfully, they turned the other way, their footsteps fading into the night. Harry exhaled, his curiosity now a roaring fire. He had to know more. The shop looked abandoned, but the light inside suggested otherwise. He pushed the door open and stepped in. The air smelled of dust and old paper. Shelves brimmed with strange objects: A clock that ticked backward, a mirror reflecting not Harry's face but that of an unfamiliar old man, and a small box that whispered faintly. "Who's there?" A voice called from the back. Harry froze. An old man with a long beard, dressed in a tattered robe, stepped from the shadows. His eyes, hidden behind round spectacles, studied Harry with curiosity, not menace. Sorry," Harry stammered. I just came to look." "Look, you say?" The old man chuckled. "Nothing's just looked at in my shop. Name yourself, boy." Harry Potter," he said, instantly regretting it. But the man only nodded, as if the name meant nothing. "I'm Phineas Fogg, keeper of this shop. Seeking wonders, Well, something brought you here. What do you want to find?" Harry didn't know what to say. He wanted to know about the Philosopher's Stone, about Hogwarts, about himself. Instead, he asked, "What is this place?" "Diagon Alley. It feels different at night." Phineas laughed, a sound like tinkling bells. "Diagon Alley's the heart of the wizarding world, boy. By day, it's for shopping. By night, it shows its secrets to those bold enough to seek them. But beware, not everything that shines is safe." Phineas showed Harry an old book, which he claimed held the stories of everyone who ever walked Diagon Alley. He opened it, and the pages glowed, revealing flickering images, wizards dueling in shadows, a dragon soaring over rooftops, and a cloaked figure hiding something small and gleaming. Harry wanted to ask more, but Phineas snapped the book shut. "Enough for tonight," he said. "Back to the leaky cauldron before Hagrid misses you." Harry reluctantly left the shop, his head buzzing with questions. Who were those people talking about the Philosopher's Stone? Why did Diagon Alley change at night? What was that book showing him? He slipped back into his room, but sleep never came, his ears straining for the alley's sounds, his mind racing with the realization that the wizarding world was far bigger, and far stranger, than he'd ever imagined. Chapter: The Whispering Wand. Harry woke with a start, the creak of the leaky cauldron's floorboards pulling him from a restless dream of glowing stones and shadowed figures. Sunlight streamed through the grimy window, painting the room in golden streaks. He rubbed his eyes, the events of last night's adventure in Diagon Alley still vivid, Phineas Fogg's cryptic words, the strange book, and the whispered talk of the Philosopher's Stone. His stomach growled, reminding him he hadn't eaten since Hagrid's rock-hard cakes the day before. He dressed quickly, pulling on the oversized clothes from the Dursleys, and headed downstairs. The leaky cauldron was alive with morning chatter. Wizards and witches crowded the tables, sipping steaming drinks and flipping through copies of the Daily Prophet. Hagrid sat in a corner, dwarfing a plate piled high with sausages and toast. He waved Harry over, his beagle-black eyes narrowing as he noticed the boy's disheveled look. "Up late, were ya?" Hagrid asked, his tone suspicious. "Told ye to stay put, Harry." "Just couldn't sleep," Harry mumbled, avoiding Hagrid's gaze. He grabbed a piece of toast, his mind still on the shop of old wonders. He wanted to ask Hagrid about the Philosopher's Stone, but something told him to keep quiet, for now. "We've got one last stop today," Hagrid said, wiping crumbs from his beard. "Ollivanders. Why need a wand, and there's no better place. Then we're off to King's Cross." The mention of a wand sent a thrill through Harry. He followed Hagrid back into Diagon Alley, now bright and bustling again, as if the night's mysteries had never existed. The shops sparkled, and the air buzzed with voices and the occasional hoot of an owl. But Harry couldn't shake the feeling that the alley was watching him, its secrets tucked just out of sight. Ollivander's shop was narrow and dusty, its sign faded but proud, makers of fine wands since 382 BC. Inside, the air felt thick, like stepping into a library of magic. Shelves towered to the ceiling, crammed with long, narrow boxes. A single spindle-legged chair sat in the corner, and a bell tinkled as they entered. Harry's heart raced. This was it, the moment he'd get his wand. A soft shuffle came from the back, and Mr. Ollivander appeared, his silvery eyes gleaming like moons. His movements were quick, almost bird-like, as he studied Harry. "Harry Potter," he said softly, as if tasting the name. "I wondered when I'd see you. Your mother's wand, mahogany, 10¼ inches, swishy, excellent for charms. Your father's, 11 inches, willow, pliable, good for transfiguration. And now, you." Harry shifted uncomfortably, feeling as if Ollivander could see right through him. Hagrid nudged him forward, muttering something about being quick. Ollivander vanished into the shelves, returning with a stack of boxes. He handed Harry a wand, beach, 9 inches, dragon heartstring. Harry gave it a wave, but a vase on the counter shattered, spraying glass across the floor. Not quite, Ollivander said, unperturbed, snatching the wand back. He tried another, oak, 12 inches, unicorn hair. A puff of smoke erupted, making Hagrid cough. Wand after wand failed, sparks fizzling or shelves rattling ominously. Harry's excitement began to waver. Was something wrong with him? Finally, Ollivander paused, his eyes narrowing. He climbed a ladder and pulled down a dusty box, his fingers trembling slightly. Holly, 11 inches, phoenix feather, he murmured. A curious combination. Let's see. Harry took the wand, and a warm glow spread through his fingers, like holding sunlight. He waved it, and a shower of golden sparks burst forth, dancing across the room. The air hummed, and even Hagrid let out a low whistle. That's the one, Ollivander said, but his voice held a strange note. Curious, very curious. What's curious? Harry asked, gripping the wand tightly. Ollivander leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. The phoenix that gave this feather gave one other. That wand belongs to, well, let's just say it's tied to a wizard whose path you may cross. Be careful, Mr. Potter. Wands choose their owners, but they also whisper their own secrets. Harry frowned, unsettled. What did that mean? Before he could ask, Ollivander turned away, muttering about measurements. Hagrid, looking uneasy, hustled Harry out, the wand now tucked safely in his pocket. But as they stepped back into Diagon Alley, Harry felt a faint vibration from the wand, like a heartbeat. He glanced at it, half expecting it to speak. Their final task was to buy an owl. At Elop's Owl Emporium, Harry chose a snowy white owl with piercing amber eyes. She nipped his finger gently, as if claiming him, and Hagrid grinned, naming her Hedwig. Laden with supplies, books, robes, a cauldron, and Hedwig's cage, they headed back to the leaky cauldron to collect their things. But as they passed the shop of old wonders, Harry's wand buzzed again, stronger this time. He stopped, staring at the shop's darkened window. The same whispering sound he'd heard last night seemed to echo from within, faint but unmistakable. Hagrid didn't notice, trudging ahead, but Harry lingered. Was it the wand, the shop, or something else entirely? A shadow moved inside, and for a moment, Harry thought he saw Phineas Fogg's face in the window, his eyes locked on him. The old man raised a finger to his lips, as if warning Harry to stay silent. Then the shadow vanished. Harry's heart pounded, but Hagrid's call snapped him back. Come on, Harry. Train won't wait. Harry hurried after Hagrid, the wand still warm in his pocket. As they left Diagon Alley, he couldn't shake the feeling that his wand, and the alley itself, knew more about his future than he did. The whispers followed him, faint but persistent, all the way to King's Cross. Chapter. Shadows on the platform. The bustle of King's Cross station was overwhelming, a chaotic swirl of muggles hurrying to their trains, their voices blending into a dull roar. Harry pushed his trolley, Hedwig's cage rattling atop his pile of Hogwarts supplies. The snowy owl hooted softly, her amber eyes scanning the crowd as if she, too, sensed the strangeness of the day. Hagrid trudged beside him, his massive frame parting the sea of people like a ship through waves. Harry's new wand, tucked in his pocket, still hummed faintly, its warmth a constant reminder of the mysteries he'd encountered in Diagon Alley. Platform 9 3/4, Hagrid muttered, checking a crumpled piece of parchment. That's where you'll catch the Hogwarts Express. Don't worry, Harry, it's easy enough to find if you know where to look. Harry wasn't so sure. The station signs pointed to platforms 9 and 10, but there was no hint of anything in between. He glanced at Hagrid, hoping for more explanation, but the giant was distracted, scratching his beard and muttering about missing his morning tea. Harry's stomach twisted with nerves. What if he couldn't find the platform? What if this was all a mistake, and he wasn't meant for Hogwarts after all? As they neared the barrier between platforms 9 and 10, Harry noticed a family ahead, a red-haired woman with a warm but frazzled expression, herding 4 boys and a younger girl. The boys pushed trolleys like Harry's, loaded with trunks and owl cages. The tallest, a lanky boy with a prefect badge pinned to his jumper, was arguing with a pair of identical twins, who grinned mischievously. The youngest boy, about Harry's age, looked as nervous as Harry felt, clutching a battered wand that sparked faintly. "Percy, stop lecturing," one of the twins called, dodging a swat from the prefect. "We know how to get through." "Quiet, Fred," the woman snapped, though her eyes twinkled. "George, don't you dare try that trick with the vanishing sweets again." "Ron, chin up, you'll be fine." Harry froze. They were talking about the platform. He edged closer, trying to listen without being noticed. The woman glanced at him, her gaze softening as she saw his uncertain expression. "First time to Hogwarts, dear?" she asked, her voice kind but brisk. "Don't worry, my Ron's starting too. Just watch." She nodded to the twins, who grinned and sprinted toward the brick wall between platforms 9 and 10. Harry's jaw dropped as they vanished straight through it, their trolleys disappearing without a trace. The youngest boy, Ron, gulped, gripping his trolley tighter. "Go on, Ron," the woman urged. "You've seen your brothers do it." Ron took a deep breath, then ran at the wall, squeezing his eyes shut. He vanished too. Harry stared, his heart pounding. The woman turned to him. "Your turn, dear. Just walk straight at the barrier, don't hesitate, or you'll bump. Best to run if you're nervous." Harry nodded, his throat dry. He glanced at Hagrid, who gave an encouraging nod. "Go on, Harry. I'll be right behind ye." Gripping his trolley, Harry took a running start, bracing for a crash. The barrier loomed closer, solid and unyielding, but as he reached it, the world blurred, and he stumbled onto a crowded platform bathed in scarlet steam. A gleaming train, the Hogwarts Express, stood waiting, its engine puffing like a living beast. Children laughed and shouted, owls hooted, and cats wove through the crowd. Harry's breath caught. This was real. He was really going to Hogwarts. Hagrid clapped a hand on his shoulder, nearly knocking him over. "Right, Harry, you're set. I've got business to tend to, so Yale board alone. Find a compartment, make some friends. See ye at Hogwarts." Before Harry could protest, Hagrid vanished back through the barrier, leaving him alone in the chaos. He pushed his trolley toward the train, dodging older students and their overflowing trunks. The platform buzzed with energy, but Harry felt a prickle of unease. His wand vibrated again, sharper this time, and he swore he heard a faint whisper, like the one from the Shop of Old Wonders. He shook his head, telling himself it was just nerves. As he hauled his trunk onto the train, a pale boy with slick blonde hair and a pointed face blocked his path. Two larger boys flanked him, their expressions smug. "You're him, aren't you?" The pale boy sneered, his gray eyes narrowing. "Harry Potter. I heard you were here." "I'm Malfoy. Draco Malfoy." Harry stiffened, unsure how to respond. The boy's tone was sharp, almost challenging, and the platform seemed to quiet around them. Ron, the red-haired boy from earlier, appeared at Harry's side, his ears pink. "Leave him alone, Malfoy," Ron said, his voice shaky but defiant. Draco smirked. "Oh, look, a Weasley. Should have known you'd befriend the riffraff, Potter. My father says you're lots of disgrace to wizards." Harry's wand buzzed hotter, and he clenched his fist to stop himself from pulling it out. He didn't know what it could do, but the urge to wave it at Malfoy was strong. Before he could decide, a girl with bushy brown hair and large front teeth pushed through the crowd, her arms full of books. "Honestly, stop bickering," she huffed. "The train's about to leave, and you're blocking the corridor. I'm Hermione Granger, by the way. Are you both first years?" Draco snorted and stalked off with his cronies, muttering something about mudbloods. Harry exchanged a glance with Ron, who looked relieved. Hermione, oblivious to the tension, launched into a speech about the books she'd already read for Hogwarts. Harry barely listened, his eyes drawn to the platform outside. Through the train window, he saw a flicker of movement, a cloaked figure, half hidden in the steam, watching the train. The figure's face was obscured, but Harry felt a chill, as if those unseen eyes were fixed on him. His wand pulsed again, and the whisper returned, clearer now. "The stone, it calls." Harry blinked, and the figure was gone, swallowed by the crowd. "Come on, let's find a compartment," Ron said, tugging Harry's sleeve. Hermione followed, still talking about Hogwarts, a history. They found an empty compartment near the back of the train, and Harry sank onto the seat, his mind racing. The wand, the stone, the shadows in Diagon Alley. What did it all mean? As the train whistled and began to move, Harry stared out the window, watching London fade. The whispers lingered, faint but persistent, and he knew, deep down, that his journey to Hogwarts was only the beginning of something much larger, and far more dangerous, than he could imagine.